maybe I can bring all of that down and we should be good.
Okay.
I don't hear it anymore.
I don't hear it either. So Janelle, Alexa, if you still hear it, it works.
Okay.
Excellent. So let's start again. We did it. Hey, it's Joelle at Brooklyn Book Doctor. I'm in Brooklyn where it's really hot. I have the window closed because someone's power washing outside, so hopefully you don't hear that. And I'm here with Ralph de la Rosa, and I don't know where you are, Ralph, but Ralph did spend quite a lot of time in Brooklyn, and that's how I know him, pre-author days. Now he's the author of 2 books with Shambhala Publications, Monkey is the Mind, which came out in the fall of 2018, and Don't Tell Me to Relax, which I have to show you because it has really the best, not only title, but also cover. It's really awesome. Don't Tell Me to Relax, Emotional Resilience in the Age of Rage, Feels, and Freakouts. Super great title. So thank you for being here so much. Ralph's book just published, which is super exciting, and in this age of new kinds of book launches. And wait, I can do this thing with the banner. Okay, there you go. You can see.
You're so high tech, unlike me.
Well, I figured out this morning. Ralph's going to talk to us a little bit both about what the book is about, which is it's super appropriate for this time. It's super amazing timing on this publication, and also a little bit because I really love the way it's structured, and I want to hear, because you're a second-time author, how it was getting the book deal the second time around. So a lot of people who follow me are trying to get book deals the first time around, so it can be a bit of a different animal the second time around. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you came up with this fantastic title, because it's something that a lot of people wonder, how am I supposed to name this, and what am I doing, and what is this?
It was a process,
So welcome, and thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me. I'm slightly distracted because we have just a touch of feedback, but I think it's manageable.
Okay.
But I appreciate the gracious introduction, and that it's good to be here with you. We've come a long way since we first met in the yoga days back when you were teaching and I was still in school, and the magical yoga studio that we both worked at, which was very, very special and kind of irreplaceable. It's good to be here. It's good to have the book out. The response from people who are reading it is just, I think the first Amazon review, the title is I Didn't Want It to End, which is very meaningful to me to have this timely work out in the world in a moment when we need all the resources that we can get our hands on. So indeed.
It is amazing because anyone who's written a book knows that you can plan it, but then when it comes out, the world's changed. And so for you, I mean, a book cycle is usually, I would say minimum, 6 months if you're on a crash course, but minimum 1 year for a usual book launch. And then 2 years is really normal. So for this to come at this time is just really amazing.
Yeah.
Not that I wish that we had this time for the book to come out, but.
Well, we had to jettison that timeline. So in terms of how it was birthed, it really took a village. The Monkey is the Messenger came out. It's been a whirlwind, only a year and a half, maybe a little bit more than that ago. So to have a second book out at this time is not normal. Usually, in fact, the way that it was birthed was a woman named Rachel Newman, who was working with Shambhala Publications for some time. I think she's moved on since then, but said, hey, listen, the election's going to be coming around. We need a book. We would love for there to be a book out there for meditators and contemplative people who are struggling with the crisis that the election is going to inherently bring. We had no idea, of course, that COVID would be dropping. We had no idea that the social uprising piece would intensify ahead of the election. And so it makes the book, it's kind of heartbreaking that it's more relevant than ever. Like, I don't want it to be as relevant as it is. I wish we were in a better place sociopolitically. But we wanted to have a book out in the world for contemplative folks that wasn't about acceptance, that wasn't about, taking the edge off of the stress of this moment per se, although that's, a good thing, it's a desirable thing, but more in the realm of how do we meet this moment? How to, in a real way, in a penetrating kind of way, right? Like, how do we take the truth that the obstacle is the path, that the difficulty is the birthplace of insight and clarity, actually, when we know how to meet with it, so they wanted to see a book that contained that level of truth, and they felt like I was the one to do it, which I'm really, really grateful for. And but they wrote to me while I was traveling in Mexico, while producing online courses and maintaining my therapy caseload. And I said, okay, we can do this, but like, here would be my writing timeline. And the manuscript was written in 2 months.
Oh my God.
We edited in 4 more months. And then boom, it was sent to press at the beginning of March or mid-March. And so it was like as expedient of a publishing process as possible, which is a double-edged sword, because it's wonderful we were able to do it, but I mean, you can imagine the level of
imagine. Okay, so from my point of view as a collaborator and editor, a developmental editor, what I imagine is you did a sprint draft. You're like, here's everything I can possibly say about the subject in a more or less an order that I think it could go. And then your editor came in and was like, okay, now let's make the book. Here's some content, and now let's put it together. Is that what happened?
That is precisely what happened. I started with while I was still in the pre-writing stages, and while I was still kind of working with other things and traveling and what have you, I just started anytime I had a moment of, this is a good insight, we could build a chapter out of it. I just went to Google Docs and I wrote everything I could think of, put that away, and then just kept doing that. And when it came down to sit down with it, I had like 40 plus chapters started. And then it was just, what do I feel like developing today, really? And what do I feel like is the most timely and important, and what I want to be discussing? And then from there, handed my editor a big messy pile of chapters and ideas, and he had to very much be a sculptor with it. Okay, here's the mess of clay, let me get it on the kiln, and it was heavily collaborative.
So he was doing what I call ghost editing. He wasn't a ghost writer, you're still the writer, but he's definitely got his hands in it and helping you make a shape of it, and being very much a partner in the process. Yes,
absolutely. Matt Zeppelin is his name, and he's a fantastic editor. And we knew it was going to be that collaborative in order to pull it off. And so thank God he was prepared and psychologically to deal with me and my messiness.
And you moved a couple times in there too, didn't you?
What's that?
Did you move a couple times in there?
Yeah. I mean, I came back from Mexico and moved upstate to work on the book, and then just coincidentally, I had to leave my place for non-COVID reasons right when that was happening, and I'm actually in Lake Tahoe, California now.
Okay.
But I will just say also for the writers out there, just to give you a glimpse, I mean, the structure of the book and categorizing it's categorized into 4 sections, a time to be fierce, a time to understand, a time to, and so on. that actually happened, I think, a week before we went to press, or 2 weeks. We had a good book structure, and I felt like it was good but not great. And it just hit me, oh my God, like if we can organize it like this, it's very accessible, and it's going to entail some shuffling of the chapters to fit those sections. And my editor was like, what are you doing to me? Because now we're going to shuffle
that. Don't mess with it. We're almost there.
And have to comb through to make sure that it coheres nicely. And but the idea of structuring the book was undeniably good, and so they had to deal with me.
I mean, sometimes those like brilliant ideas do come at the 11th hour, and they're crazy making for everybody, but it ends up being a good idea, and sometimes it's not a good idea. So everybody has to have discernment in that moment.
Exactly, and discernment is very, very hard when you're faced with stress and pressure, and the deadline thing is so necessary, but it's such a double-edged sword as well. Motivating and terrifying.
Yes, and especially in your case where you didn't have an extra month. Oftentimes authors or editors say, well, we need a few extra weeks to get this done, or we have to, circumstances have conspired, so we need more time. But in your case, there was no more time. There's no plan B. You had to get it done.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever worked with this before, but I had such a feeling of this is a snapshot of a project that's in process more than a complete thing. And I love the book, and I reading back through it, I'm proud of the work. And there's also one aspect of doing this kind of work is you look back and I should have said that differently. Oh, we should have included that. Oh, that is not, that's not as fleshed out as I want it to be. And with topics related to social justice, racial justice, these things, that's it. It's a specific awareness we're trying to evoke in society. So,
especially, there's a strong echo. Thanks, de-shaming, for letting us know that. We have to try to figure out how to turn our audio off.
I'm going to just hold my phone over here. I think that makes it better, and I will just have to look over here periodically.
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm holding my de-shaming. Can you let us know if this is any better? Because we want you to understand. So let us know. And we apologize for the weird profile you're getting if you're watching on Instagram Live. Okay, maybe they left.
Yeah.
I wanted to just pause and have you tell everyone.
Okay, I tried to change something, it didn't work. You were saying?
Who you are and what you do, because not everyone's going to know that you're coming from these two trainings, two traditions.
Yeah. So, So it seems to be when I talk that we get the echo, which is why I'm pausing.
Okay. De-shaming says it's better.
Okay.
On the Instagram Live.
Okay, great. So, so I am a psychotherapist and obviously an author, but I've been teaching meditation for 12, 13 years, somewhere in there as well.
In the Buddhist tradition?
And I would consider myself post-Buddhist at this point.
Okay.
I study with some folks who part of one of the core tenets of the work is that we're here to discover what the Buddha discovered, not necessarily to learn what the Buddha taught. It's about the heart and soul of it that belongs to us all, not to just one tradition.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a different approach, but in terms of meditation, what I offer is very, very integrative, because I also have, as you know, we've seen each other at a million AMA programs as well. she was my teacher in the Bhakti Yoga tradition, Vedic tradition, for a long time as well. And so that's incorporated. And I studied Christianity in my younger years as well. So I really feel like, perhaps I'm being too long-winded on this point, though, but that yes, Buddhism is a great map, but the terrain is our life. And the terrain is more important than the maps.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right, because the map could keep us stuck in our heads.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could intellectualize the whole path and never have a revolution of heart.
Right.
And
that's so important. Always, but especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel our hearts are being really seriously challenged. And that's kind of what your book is getting at.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder the feedback issue, if we should address it, but
okay, we can.
Maybe, is there a way to drop the Facebook link in the Instagram comments, and then we just hop over to Facebook?
Bring our Instagram people over here? Yeah, okay, I can do that, and I just have to remember where that link is.
I'm so sorry for the...
So Instagram people, we're going to see if you will move with us over to Facebook because of the feedback issues we're having. So please bear with us for a second. We want you to have a good experience and get the most out of this.
Exactly.
And hold on. Oh yeah, I hear it too now.
Yeah. Little birds chirping.
Yeah, exactly. It's very distracting. So let me see here. I know how I will find it. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Sorry. I know why that was happening. I hope you guys can stay on. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I know this is a little bit
not our favorite.
Not our favorite. Okay, link is coming.
Great. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
Yep. Link is coming. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna put the Facebook Live link in my Instagram, and then it would be great if everyone on Instagram could just pop on over to a Facebook Live, and then we'll really get rid of all the audio issues. So,
okay, great.
Let's see.
And if you want to leave your Instagram Live up, and I'll just hop off the Instagram Live now.
Okay.
That way, if the live is still up, people can see the link.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I am looking for. Of course, it's not as straightforward as I want it to be. Okay.
Good to go.
Works no, because I think I went. I just. Hold on.
I should have some sort of dance routine prepared for moments like this.
Right? Work around.
Little cat Lucy.
I think I just ended the live, is what happened. Okay. Oh no, I'm still here. Okay.
Yeah. Just let me know when it's safe to hop off.
Okay, here is the link. There it is. Okay. So there's the link to the Facebook Live. It's in the chat. If you're on Instagram, please come over to Facebook Live and we'll continue over there.
Okay, great.
There we go.
So I'm hopping off, and that should resolve the issue.
Great.
I'm just so sorry about that.
No, we're all learning.
Indeed we are. Indeed we are. I am nothing if not an imperfectionist. I think if I were a perfectionist, I would get nothing done.
That's true for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, I want to recap a little bit what you said. You said a bunch of really interesting things. And I just want to recap it for people who maybe came on later or who are just coming over to Facebook Live, which is that you had a book come out I remember seeing it in my feed in September 2018. And The Monkey is the Mind. No, The Monkey is the Messenger.
Monkey is the Messenger, yeah.
Monkey is the Messenger. We already know it's the mind. Monkey is the Messenger. and then you had a visionary publisher come to you and say, we know this is coming up in the world. We know these world events are coming up. It's unavoidable. There's going to be an election in 2020, and already everybody's tweaked, and we have been for 2 years since the 2016 election, and people are going to need a way to deal with this that is not about acceptance, and it's not about checking out. And it's also for people who have a spiritual practice or have a meditation practice and need a way to stay engaged without going into trauma. And she came to you and said, you're the person to write this book. Are you up for it? So that's a really intense way for a second book to happen. It doesn't always happen like that.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's fortunate from a career perspective, in a way to have the absolute honor and privilege to offer 2 books to the world in such a relatively short window. Very, very.
Absolutely. It's really interesting to hear that journey, and that it was such a collaborative process with your editor at Shambhala too.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, just to be real for a moment too about that, the reason why I said yes and that I had confidence that it could be done is really because I'm a trauma survivor, and because I've been down in the trenches so many times before with myself. I've been in situations that felt utterly impossible so many times, and I've just learned, whether it was recovering from heroin, whether it was going through 6 years of school, without family support or anything. There's been so many situations where finishing the first book, where it's like, this feels impossible. It feels insurmountable. It's, asking more of me than I believe that I have. And there's this fundamental truth of, you just sit your ass down and get to it. And no matter how it feels, if you just keep inching your way with it, whether it's scratching and clawing or walking or dancing or moshing your way, you get somewhere. And I kind of knew it was going to be that sort of endeavor of just powering through and making it as beautiful as possible, but not even necessarily believing it was possible, just knowing that if we sit down every single day and work at this, we're going to get somewhere at some point.
That's such a good message for people, especially following the imperfectionist model that you're offering, that just sitting down, doing what you can, getting stuff on the page is a way to move forward. And in your case, it was maybe a little bit of survival, but in other cases, it can be a way to get done the thing that you really want to do, that you want to get out in the world, that's important for you to have in other people's hands. That can be a way to get your work done, not perfectionist, not clean and tidy.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that the structure is awesome.
Thank you.
And people probably can't see, but here's the cover again. You can see the cover. Wait, here we go. Can't have it on both screens at once. Don't tell me to relax. Emotional resilience in the age of rage, feels, and freakouts. So just to get nerdy for a second.
Yeah.
The way that Ralph and Matt is your editor's name. See this. Have structured this. This is a nerd out moment, but I'm just going to go deep with it because this kind of table of contents makes me really happy. You
Mm.
can see that there's it's in parts and chapters and then practices. And I really like the way that you have these little chapters with fun titles that really explain what's in the chapter, but also give you something to look forward to. And then at the end of the part, you have all the practices. So it's not chapter practice, chapter practice, chapter practice, but here are some ideas. Here are some ways to put them into action. So you really can, as you say in the front matter, the intro matter, like you can kind of choose your own adventure in this, which is something that authors often want, is to, okay, you can't see the whole book. I know, it's hard. I don't know where to put it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, in front of my face, but then I can't see it because I've got to see it too. I don't know if you can see that now, Janelle. Often what writers want is to, I'm just going to put this down. What writers want is for people to have a nonlinear experience, but books are inherently linear. So how to give people both. This is a book that's really well structured and also gives people options to move through it as they will. And in fact, people will always move through books as they will.
Exactly.
You don't have any control over readers once your book is out in the world. You can just give them something to work within, and they will do what they will do. So I feel like your book is, I don't know every single book that's out there, but your book does something interesting in that the introduction is kind of theoretical. Like, here's the framework, and then the chapters are more stories, like the theory and action, and then the practices for readers to do. And I feel like this structure works super well.
Thanks. Thank you. And yeah, we did the original concept was actually to have much shorter chapters. It didn't work out that way. They're traditionally length chapters. But the original concept was like, I want there to be a book that somebody has in their back pocket. And if they're like met with an issue, they can open it to that particular chapter, that particular page. It ended up being a little bit that, but it is very accessible in that dancing around kind of a nonlinear way that you're referencing. Because I mean, we live in the age, like, how many people identify with the phrase, I read 5 books at once, and every once in a while I finish one, you know? And so, yeah, that's the kind of psychology of readers right now. The short attention span and the multifaceted interests and what have you.
Yes. Yeah. Completion is definitely low on people's lists these days. As readers, and I think as humans, it's very hard to complete, especially big tasks.
Yeah.
Like this one.
And I mean, let's face it, contemplative books don't tend to be page turners. I mean, some of them are. Hopefully mine is a little bit. I mean, there's a lot more than politics and meditation in the book. There's a lot of my story and my process as well. But yeah, I think there's a statistic that like 30% of readers of wellness-oriented books actually finish them. And so, yeah,
I totally believe that, because it's aspirational, right? You want to be that person who gets to the end of the book and is the person who's learned everything by the end of the book. But we always have resistance as humans. So
we do. And I'm going to say this, and it's maybe something not every author would cop to as well. That what I notice in myself, and when I talk to other people as well, they usually agree that unconsciously, subconsciously, behind the purchase of every meditation or wellness book is this sense of, maybe this one will have the answer. Maybe this one will fill in the blank, the missing link of why, the other methods haven't exactly worked or kind of sort of worked or whatever. Maybe this is the one that will finally, and that sort of expectation also, it's one that can't really be fulfilled. And so that's part of the dynamic that we're working with as writers. The introduction to the book is really this calling in sort of vibe of like, this is who we're speaking to, and I want to speak to Black people and people who live with disabilities and young people and old people, and and I want to be very real about what we're met with. And then I try to be really real about, I don't have the answers. I have my journey, my process, what's been gifted to me by way of teachings and theory and training and what have you. And, my friend Ethan Nichtern likes to say, meditation solves nothing, but helps everything. And I think that that's what books can really, these kinds of books can really do. So they're not going to fix us. They're not going to give us that missing link, but they can certainly propel us forward.
Mm-hmm. I think your book gives us a paradigm shift, if we want to go there, as well as practices that can help us in the day-to-day instances of overwhelm or fear or freak out or like too many feelings or challenging situations. So you give us both.
Yeah, thank you.
What did you call it? The non-pathological...
Radical non-pathology?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Radical non-pathology.
Yeah.
We're not pathologizing our reactions and emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. Non-pathology is a bit of a radical idea in the psychotherapy world. This notion that one of my mentors says the DSM is just a collection, like every so-called disorder in the DSM is just a collection of people's defense mechanisms, right? Anxiety disorder, depression, etc. It's just how we make ourselves feel safe in the world, actually, or how we've evolved. And maybe that's extreme and skewed and problematic in our lives, but at its core, it comes from this basic desire and need for safety, gratification, and belonging to prevail in our lives. And so that's the non-pathological model. Is everything in us is reaching for safety, feeling good, learning, belonging, connection, community. It's just we end up with a tangled up situation here on the surface. But honoring that as a basic truth, I think, is really the doorway to change somehow. Right, admitting that there's nothing wrong with us, and we've got some work to do.
Right, exactly. There's nothing wrong with us, and we've got some work to do. I think coming from that place of basic love and acceptance makes for a different journey towards the work that we do.
Yeah, indeed. It's the foundation. Right?
And while that notion is radical, and the subject matter you're tackling is deep and sometimes heavy, I think that this book does such a really good job of, first of all, the titles of the chapters are very inviting. The title of the book itself is very relatable, and the humanness actually of your tone and your writing makes it something that doesn't feel like it is diagnostic or pathologizing or even telling us to have a spiritual practice or a meditation practice. Like, there's nothing prescriptive about it. It's really relating to us and our humanness, as you were saying.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
If you don't mind, can I just read a couple chapter titles? Because even though, we're not going to read a chapter, it's still fun to read the chapter titles, such as in part 2, A Time to Be Tender, Chapter 7, about that meditation practice you're kind of, sort of, sometimes maybe doing, right? Like, who can't relate to that?
Yeah.
I think that is so fun, and that you also have the wisdom of an enraged goddess here, which is a whole different kind of proposition. And they come at you the wrong way, also very relatable. And also what the self-love movement is missing. So I just really love the way that the chapter titles invite us into the chapters to feel like, okay, this guy can relate to where I'm at. He kind of knows my secrets, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I want this guy to talk to me a bit more.
I do know your secrets, Joelle. I'm about to broadcast them.
Like how late my yoga classes would run.
Yeah, I mean that, and really that comes from teaching too. Is that comes from teaching and just being in touch with people and being with people where they're at, and doing trauma informed work with folks that gives. Uh, there's this high privilege of being a trauma focused therapist where you get access to the darkest corners of people's minds and the things that they would never ever tell another person. And I have the great fortune of being able to work with them in those places and help them heal that stuff. But it also lends itself to this writing endeavor of like having this awareness of like where folks are really at, where the struggles are, and how I want to meet them and speak to them and offer insights.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to ask you about the title.
I want to talk about the title, actually. I keep laughing every time you mention it.
It's a great title. So how did you come up with it? Who came up with it? How did it come about? What's your secret?
It's a Frankenstein, man. It took a village to piece that together. That was truly, I mean, the head publisher at Shambhala was in on it. My editor was in on it. There was a team in on it. Don't Tell Me to Relax was, so what I do with titles is I just free write a whole list and then just narrow down. And then once I have it a little bit refined, I sent it over to my team, and Don't Tell Me to Relax was on the list because it's deeply kind of feminist. And that's my background, is radical feminism, particularly informed by what happened with Riot Girl in the 90s. And it just speaks to feminism, and it almost in a non-gendered kind of way, right? Because it could have been Don't Tell Me to Smile, and it would have had that same message,
yeah.
Right? But Don't Tell Me to Relax. I mean, my whole life freaking out about social injustices and what have you, just calm down, just, like maybe just don't, feel some other way, please. You're making us uncomfortable with your upsetness. And instead of like, well, you should be uncomfortable about what I'm upset about, actually. And so that was mine. But I think one of the other titles had the word feels in it. And then KJ Grow at Shambhala Publications really liked the term Age of Rage and kind of felt like that's an accurate description of where we're at. And
great alliteration too.
Yeah. And so, it was a lot of back and forth with the subtitle and the title, and eventually the team put together. And it's kind of funny to think about, like, multiple people being involved in creating something that's 12, 15 words total.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it shows I know when I worked on titles with teams, you can have those moments when you're pulling your hair out and thinking we're never going to get there. When one person likes one thing, one person likes the other thing, nobody likes this other thing, but it won't go away. And you're trying to find the way to express the real underpinning of the book, the real, in sales language, the benefit of the book, but also the vision of the author and the mission of the content. You want people to be interested from the first moment they encounter it, and you want them to get everything they can out of it. It's a lot to ask for a few words.
It is. And I mean, with that impossibility piece, don't you find that there's always that moment of like, this isn't working, or we're not finding the thing, or
yeah,
this isn't happening?
Yes, like all the way through.
And then you just stick to it, and then there's like some moment where the whole thing opens up, and oh, there it is. Okay, we're good. Exactly. Or we're good enough to run with it.
That's right? The thing. Often it's good enough, but I feel like your title is so right on.
Thank you. Yeah, I will pass that on to everyone involved in the Frankenstein. Here's the legs, here's the head. We need a brain process.
I love it. I really love it. And then, there's still some people joining from Instagram Live. Hi, folks. We are actually over on Facebook Live right now and just wrapping up our call. There's a link in the comments. If you want to join us for the last little bit of Facebook Live, we'd love to see you over here. Yeah, I hope we didn't confuse everyone totally. But is there anything else you want to tell us today? Other than, wait, I should tell everyone, go buy this book. Buy it. Buy it. Write a review. Let Ralph know what you think of it, because this really helps all authors to sell books. And that's what authors need, just to keep putting out the content.
And I can sweeten that deal. As of just yesterday, we released a bonus chapter and a bonus guided meditation that is only available if you go order the book at shambhala.com now. And the bonus chapter is actually, for folks whose ears perked up when I mentioned Riot Girl, is actually a story about a show, a bikini kill show I went to in 1993. And this very intense moment I witnessed between Kathleen Hanna, their singer, and the crowd, and how much it taught me, just this one single act this amazing woman did, how much it taught me about the nature of protest, about the nature of boundaries, about the nature of being fierce but loving at the same time, about the nature of empowerment. I'm really, really happy with the bonus chapter, and that's something you can receive if you go order the book.
Let me see if I can find it. It's Shambhala.
Oh,
Shambhala.com.
Yeah, indeed. I can send it over to you actually too.
Yeah, if you can text it to me, and I can put it in the banner. Yeah,
indeed. So let me just grab that. Thought it was in this little doc, but it's actually right here. And I'm sending that to your phone right now. Cool. Yeah, you should have it.
Okay, great. Thank you. This is to the audio, right?
Mm-hmm. This is to order the book and then receive the audio and the bonus chapter.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to do this thing where I create a banner. And then, okay, so that's the link. And I'm going to put it in the comments too. That's the link to get, if you order your book here, then you get this free chapter that's not in the book, I'm assuming, that explains your moment of enlightenment with Riot Girl, the Riot Girl concert.
Indeed. Yeah.
So if you order from Shambhala directly, you'll get this nice bonus from Ralph, which is awesome. Super. Well, I feel like we've done a good job, as good job as we could with our tech learning curve, and I'm going to talk to you.
Yeah, it's really good to talk to you as well. And yeah, thank you for rolling with the punches. I really appreciate it.
We do what we do.
And it's kind of just fun to geek out about, the process of publishing and what have you. It's a conversation I would love to have again, and maybe.
That would be great. I can talk about this, and there's so much work that goes into a book, and then when you're doing your tour, you're just saying, I'm assuming, the same thing about your book because you want people to buy it. But I really love the behind the scenes. I love how it comes together, because it's wild and woolly out there. We have some idea of what happens, but every experience is different. And so it's fascinating. It reminds me a little bit about writing about yoga culture. In writing, when I was a journalist for yoga culture, it seems sort of like, well, why would you write about yoga? But the culture is fascinating. So like the behind the scenes of an author's life and process of getting the book out into the world, it's just, well, for me, I mean, I'm a book nerd, so what can I say? But
this is all a spiritual practice too. This is all an avenue for accelerated personal growth too, because it's such a hardy challenge,
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Writing a book is a process of transformation every time.
Indeed. Joelle, it's such a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Ralph. It's great to talk to you. And we'll talk again. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's please.
Okay.
Right.
Everyone on Instagram Live, thanks for hanging with us. And
thank you, everybody, for hanging with us.
okay. Bye.
Bye now.